All right, welcome to the CIY Capital Daily NASDAQ Futures Recap. Wow, what a day today, March 2nd. The market opened in a total panic, only to pull off this incredible 400-point reversal. We're going to break down exactly what drove this move and give you the key levels you need to be watching tomorrow. Let's jump right in.
So check this out. 402 points. That was the intraday range for Monday. And you know, a number that big tells a story. It was an absolute battlefield out there. On one side, you had geopolitical fear just hammering prices down, and on the other, you had some serious institutional money just scooping up big tech on the dip. The result was just extreme volatility.
Okay, so the big headline here is this violent reversal. I mean, the session kicked off with a massive 325-point gap down. Over the weekend, news broke about U.S. and Israel launching strikes on Iran, and that triggered a classic risk-off, panic-at-the-open kind of move. But that fear was met with just unbelievable buying pressure, leading to this crazy V-shaped reversal. It really tells a fascinating story about what's going on under the surface.
Let's dig into the actual numbers here. So, Friday, we closed just a hair over 25,000. Then Monday morning, we opened way down at 24,680. That's almost a 325-point gap. And the selling wasn't even done yet. They pushed it all the way down to a low of 24,477. But then, man, the buyers stepped in with absolute force, driving us all the way back up to a high of 24,879. Now, we still closed down almost a full percent, but that powerful recovery off the lows, that was the real story of the day, no question.
So you gotta ask, what in the world caused this insane tug of war? Well, it really boiled down to two incredibly powerful and totally opposite forces going head-to-head. You had this major geopolitical shock hitting the market, but at the same time, you had institutions who basically saw that panic as a prime buying opportunity in a few very specific, very big names. And this slide really lays it all out perfectly. You had the geopolitical fear on one side. The Iran strike sent money rushing into safe havens. I mean, gold ripped past $5,400 an ounce, and the VIX, the fear index, spiked to its highest level all year. But almost instantly, you saw big money rotate right back into mega cap tech, which they see as a kind of fortress in these uncertain times. You had NVIDIA up 3%, Palantir soared over 6.5%, that's the whole defense AI story playing out, and even Microsoft added almost 1.5%. The dip was bought, and it was bought aggressively.
And there were a couple other headwinds just adding to all this uncertainty. We got the ISM manufacturing data, which showed the economy is still humming along, but, and this is the important part, the prices paid number surged. That basically reignited all those old inflation fears. At the exact same time, the banking sector stayed weak, with big names like JP Morgan and Bank of America both down around 2%.
Okay, so that's the why behind the move. Now let's get to the most actionable part of this whole recap. The CIY Capital team has gone through and mapped out the absolute critical price levels that are going to define the trading session for tomorrow.
So if you trade NQ, this is the part you really need to pay attention to. Forget all the noise for a second. What are the exact levels you need on your chart tomorrow? The next slide has the only numbers you need to be watching.
All right, here we go. Get your pen out or screenshot this slide. Let's start with resistance, the levels above us. Your first real hurdle is today's high, right at 24,880. If the bulls can push through that, the next major target overhead is 25,050. Now, let's look at the downside. Your first support level, your first floor, is 24,635. Below that, you've got today's absolute low of 24,477. And if that level breaks, look out below, because the next major target for sellers is all the way down at 24,200. These are the battlegrounds for Tuesday, period.
Now, no market trades in a vacuum. So let's take a quick look at how some related assets are behaving. This gives us some really critical clues about the overall risk appetite out there.
And man, the signals here are pretty darn clear. The VIX, that's your expected volatility, is up near 21. That shows a lot of elevated fear. Gold is just screaming past $5,400, which is a massive flight to safety. And Brent crude over $82 a barrel, that tells you that energy inflation is a very real and rising risk. Bottom line, this is a risk-off environment even with that tech rally we saw today.
That V reversal off the lows today, that was a textbook setup. And this is exactly the kind of play CIY Capital covers in the live trading sessions. Look,
Whether you're totally new to futures trading or you're an experienced pro, this is how Ron Rose teaches solid risk management. You have a defined entry after you get confirmation, you have a defined stop loss right below the low, and you have a defined target at that next resistance level. It's not about gambling. It's about following a repeatable process.
Okay, so let's put this all together into a clear game plan for Tuesday. We're going to take everything that happened today and boil it down into a forward-looking strategy based on those key levels we just identified.
All right, here's the game plan. The team's bias is cautious bearish as long as we stay below that huge psychological level of 25,000. That is the line in the sand. So the key question is simple. Can the bulls reclaim it? If they can't, then the sellers are still in control. And don't forget, the big catalyst for the week is the jobs report coming out on Friday. So you can probably expect this volatility to stay pretty elevated until then.
You know, a day like today with these wild 400-point swings is the perfect example of why having a solid plan is just so critical. I mean, when the market is whipping around like that, how do you stay disciplined? More importantly, how do you protect your capital?
While the answer is having a rule-based system and honestly, the right guidance to help you stick to it. This is really where personalized coaching makes all the difference in the world, helping you build a framework that works in any market condition, not just the easy ones.
Now, this is for everyone. Whether you're brand new to futures trading and just want to learn step by step, or you've been at it for years and you're just looking to sharpen your edge, CIY Capital's coaching is totally personalized to where you are in your journey. Ron Rose works with you one-on-one as a trading coach to build a trading plan that actually fits your capital, your schedule, and your personal risk tolerance. You can even start out with micro futures, which is great for smaller accounts. Or you can practice on a simulator with absolutely zero risk.
All right, that wraps up today's recap. Just a reminder, this is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. If you want to learn to trade futures or you're looking for a trading mentor who works with you one-on-one, just visit CIYcapital.com or follow @RonRoseTrading for these daily NASDAQ futures market recaps. We'll see you tomorrow.